So on TikTok, there's this trend where people are like, oh, something that I used to be afraid to admit as a black person or a white person or a woman or whatever, right? And here we have a biracial woman participating in this trend. She says something she used to be afraid to admit as a mixed woman with a black dad and a white mom is that she gets really scared around black men who act hood. Okay, I think this is very interesting. I think this is very, very interesting. And I'm going to tell y'all exactly why. I've shared this story before, so some of you may have heard it already, right? But years ago, I think I was going into 10th grade. So I was like 14 going on 15, right? I went to Blue Lake Fine Arts Camp. And Blue Lake is on the other side of Michigan from Detroit, okay? So it's like in the woods. It's not a lot of black people out there, okay? And when you go to the camp, it's 99% white. Okay, well, no, that's a gas, okay? It's going to be like 90% white, 9% Asian, then the other 1%, maybe 1% is black people, but probably not even 1%. Anyway, my point is I could tell a lot of these kids had never met a black person before. Like, I went to this camp the year before as well when I was going into 9th grade. And this one white girl that first year, she gonna ask me, is it true if black people stand in the sun too long, their skin starts to get leathery? And I was like, ain't white people the ones who burn in the sun? And she shut the fuck up talking to me. She ain't asked me shit else the whole 2 weeks we was there. We was in the same cabin. She ain't say shit to me because, girl, why would you, like, what? That just goes to show you a lot of this stuff people think about black people is not at all rooted in reality. Like, y'all are the ones burning in the sun, but you spreading rumors that black people's skin get leathery. Even if our skin did, bitch, yours does too. Like, what? But anyway, let's get back to my second year, which is when I was in the same cabin as this biracial girl, okay? So first of all, let me tell you how Blue Lake works. You go to Blue Lake and you have a major, okay? So like my major was orchestra. Some people's majors was like singing or dancing or whatever, right? So everybody had a major. Some people, though, also had minors. If your parents paid an extra like $1,000, you could have a minor. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, I didn't have no minor because my parents barely had the money for the major, baby. I don't know who they borrowed the money from, but that's another story for another day, okay? So, if you did not have a minor, then during the time where other people went to their minor class, you just had a break, right? So, like, you know, I would go back to the cabin, take a nap or a shower or something, because the showers in the morning, baby, they used to be jumping, okay? So I think that's why me and this biracial girl ended up in the cabin alone together, because it had to have been minor time, and I guess neither of us had a minor, so we just went back to the cabin and we was just in there by ourselves, right? So we in the cabin, I'm minding my black business, right? And this biracial girl, she starts having a whole meltdown. Like, she's venting her whole life story to me, right? And she's like, yeah, like, I have a lot of animosity towards black people because my black dad abandoned me and I grew up around all my white family and so and so and so. And I was just like, okay, alrighty then. Like, I was just like, okay, girl, like, I don't know what she was expecting from me. Like, honestly, you know. Now, this is my point, though. A lot of biracials have black dads and white moms, okay? And I think that's unique to the black American community, because when it comes to like Africans, then it's a lot of African women having biracial kids and stuff too, right? But in the African American community, most biracials have a black dad and a white mom, okay? And it's probably like 50-50 with the African and Caribbean biracials. In fact, I'm going to use my age-old example, Doja Cat, because I was a huge Doja Cat fan. I liked her music. The first song I heard of hers, I was getting my hair done. This was a long time ago. This had to be like 2017 or something. I was getting my hair done in somebody's apartment. And that song, you get me so high, you get me so high. I know you're not a drug, but you get me so high. That was playing on the girl phone. And I Shazammed it, and it was Doja Cat's song. And that's when I started listening to Doja Cat, right? So, like I said, I was a fan of Doja Cat, which is why I actually know, like, her background, all right? So, her mom is a white Jewish woman, and her dad is a black South African man, right? Now, I believe her parents met in America, I believe. Cause I think Doja Cat is from like California or something, but I forget, right? So anyway, her parents met, they had children. I believe they had Doja and her younger brother. And then her dad left. He went back to South Africa, right? So Doja Cat was raised by her white family in the United States. And this is the sad thing, right? Like, her dad wasn't even poor or nothing. Her dad is an actor. Like, he was in a movie with Whoopi Goldberg. He is a real actor. He got money, right? So if he wanted to, he could have reached out and been like, hey, I'm gonna fly you out to South Africa, you know, stay for a week or two, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, if he wanted to, he could have had a relationship with his children, even though they didn't live in the same place. Like, he easily could have, even if he didn't have the money to be like, oh, I'm gonna fly y'all out, y'all can stay for a while, whatever. He could have at least, you know, like called, wrote an email or something, right? But no, this dude just abandoned them. He literally just abandoned them, right? And it was so sad. I watched this one interview where Doja Cat met Whoopi Goldberg, and she was like, oh yeah, you were in a movie with my dad. And Whoopi Goldberg was like, really? Who's your dad? And then Doja says his name, and she's like, yeah, I used to watch that movie all the time or whatever. So she's sitting here watching movies with her dad in them, and he won't even call and say hello. Like, is that not messed up? Now, Doja Cat has been exposed 100 times for the weird shit that she does with racist white men and stuff. Like, she got caught in some chat rooms with white men letting them call her the N-word and shit. Then one time she was exposed for saying like, yeah, at least being half black gave me a big butt. Like, that's the one good thing it gave me. Something like that, right? Everybody knows good and well Doja Cat cannot fucking stand black people. She can't stand that she's half black. Yada, yada, yada. And it's all because her South African daddy abandoned her. And now she has animosity towards him and what he is and what, you know, half of what she is, right? A lot of these biracials are bitter and scorned. And that's why they have all this animosity for black people. Let's get back to this woman who made this TikTok talking about, yeah, I'm really scared of black men who act hood and whatever, right? Now, my thing is this. I don't know who she is. I don't know her parents. I don't know if her black dad abandoned her. I don't know any of that, right? But it's interesting how she said she's scared of black men who act hood, but she ain't say nothing about them racist KKK ass cracker white people. She ain't say nothing about that. Half the time, these biracials be related to redneck ass hillbilly, yeah, I'm gonna lynch them nigger type white people, but they don't say nothing about that. They ain't making no think pieces about that. They ain't talking about, yeah, I'm scared of hillbilly white men. No, all they doing is talking about how they scared of black people when black people not finna do shit to them, right? But white people who will string you up from a fucking tree calling you a nigger and shit, you ain't got nothing to say about them, right? Like, back on the topic of Doja Cat. Okay, she has animosity towards black people and South Africans and whatever because her worthless South African daddy abandoned her. And I'm being real specific because, you know, Africans and Caribbeans love to claim that they have superior family dynamics and that black American men are always abandoning their kids. But this you? Oh, okay. Anyway, right? So we all know that Doja Cat has all this animosity towards her dad because of that, right? And she takes it out on all black people, you know? Okay, right? But I'm confused because you in them chat rooms with them racist white men who hate you and they calling you a nigger and you not like, oh yeah, I hate white people. They treated me bad, yada, 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 so and so and so. No, you only got the hate for the black side. And it's like, granted, yeah, we get it. Your daddy abandoned you, right? But white people treat you like trash and you don't have no complaints. You cool with that. It's like, what? Let's be honest about this woman's TikTok as well, right? Let's be real. She's scared of all black people, but she understands that the acceptable group of black people to target is the hood black people, right? I say this all the time. Non-black people, they pick and they choose, right? Like, I say this all the time about like non-black people being racist towards certain ethnicities of black people. If you hate one group of black people, you hate all black people. There's no way you hate African Americans, but you don't hate Africans. There's no way you hate Africans, but you don't hate African Americans, right? Which is why I will never sit and kiki with no non-black person about any group of black people. I don't care if I'm not African. I don't care if I'm not Caribbean. I'm not about to sit here and let any non-black person talk about those groups. Now, there's going to be a lot of comments from people like, yeah, I don't mind because Africans and Caribbeans will let them talk about us. I mean, that's true, but I don't give a fuck. It's just something don't stir in my spirit when it's a non-black person talking shit about Africans and Caribbeans when I know they talk the same shit about me. So yeah, a lot of Africans and Caribbeans would allow that, but I'm not about to because like I said, I know you say the same shit about me, right? But back to my point. a lot of times these people realize that it's more acceptable for them to target their racism towards certain groups of black people instead of just straight up saying they don't like black people at all, right? I recently made a video about this, right? And it was about how black people are participating in this trend, talking about, yeah, like, I don't like ghetto black people, so and so and so, yada, 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 right? And that brings up a whole discussion about the negative connotations associated with the ghetto. Don't get me wrong, there's some worthless people in the ghetto. The same way there's some worthless people in the suburbs, there's some worthless people in the country, there's some worthless people everywhere, right? But for some reason, the ghetto is summed up as only being comprised of worthless people because the ghetto is where the black people live, right? So that brings up this whole discussion, but it gets me back to my point. These non-black people see black people saying, oh yeah, those ghetto black people, those are the bad ones, right? And then they realize, oh, these are the type of black people that I can funnel all of my racism towards, and it won't be viewed as racism. I made a video a minute ago. It had to have been close to 3 years ago, right? And I was talking about this biracial guy who has said he's scared when he walks past groups of black people. Now, he didn't specify ghetto black people versus non-ghetto black people or whatever. No, he just said he's scared of groups of black people, period. Because, again, let me explain something to you all. If they hate one sort of black person, they hate all sorts of black people, right? Because this is the gag, this is the kicker. It doesn't matter if you're not a ghetto black person, they're still going to look at you and assume that you are and treat you as if you are one, right? So this biracial woman, she decided to be more politically correct by specifying ghetto black people instead of just saying, oh yeah, I'm scared of any black people, right? But we can all read between the lines. We know what's going on here. What y'all refusing to acknowledge is the fact that, well, first of all, biracials are not black, period. And as non-black people, they're going to be anti-black. That's just the reality of the fact, right? But then in addition to that, the vast majority of biracials are damn near culturally white because most of them grow up just with their white family. Like I said, most of the time they black daddies abandon them, right? But then with the few who aren't like that, still, the majority of their mothers are white. And we know that mothers instill all of the culture. Mothers do pretty much all of the child rearing. So children end up more culturally similar to their mothers, right? So you telling me that somebody raised by a white person is not going to learn any anti-blackness? Come on now. Like, come on. That's just not even believable.